Good morning. Good morning. I'm about leaving for work. I'm trying to record. I'm actually having headache. I think I will have to go and get some medication because I can't work in this condition. If I don't take any medication now, by the time I get to work, the headache will increase. This headache is actually increasing. My eyes are dull. All right, so I've taken my Panadol and I'll get better. So I want us to continue, from where we stopped the last time, the story of my life. When I got pregnant with my daughter, who happened to be my last child, like I told us, a lot of strange things happened. I remember when I was 3 months pregnant, I had a dream. And in that dream, I saw myself inside the church praying. And all of a sudden, a dwarf entered the church, walked straight to me and told me that they have concluded that I will not have that child. And even if I have the child, I will not carry the child, whichever one. So the understanding of the dream is that it's either I will die in childbirth or my baby dies. So, and I said, okay, so who told you? And the dwarf said that is what they have agreed on. I said, okay, but I came to see a powerful being and I haven't heard from the being. Okay, that I will have to wait until I hear from the being, then I will know what to answer them. And then I turned and faced the altar and I started crying, calling on God, asking him, what did you say concerning what they said? And immediately I saw smokes rising from the altar and then I woke up. I relocated from Enugu State to Imo State. So at 5 months pregnant, I went to hospital to see the doctor that was handling me that time here in Imo State. So when I went there, the doctor decided to send me for an ultrasound. I didn't know the reason why. So I went for an ultrasound. While in that ultrasound room, the guy handling me decided to call he called in about 4 or 5 people. At a point, they came to the conclusion that I wasn't pregnant. Yeah, that was what they said. So they gave me the report. I went outside, opened the report, and what I saw was that the sack is empty. There is no baby in the sack except water. So I closed the ultrasound report. I didn't go back to the hospital to give it to my doctor. I went straight to church and I went to the chapel. I laid down before the Blessed Sacrament and I started crying. I told God, you are the one that put this child in me. You know fully well that I am pregnant because this is not my first child. This happened to be my last child. So I am in a better position to tell if I am pregnant or not. So while I was crying, the priest heard my prayers and cries and decided to come downstairs. And he waited for me to finish my prayer. And when I came out, he asked me what the problem was. I gave him the report. And I told him that this pregnancy is my 4th pregnancy. So the priest told me to go home, that I should not go back to hospital. I should go home. That child, that I'm going to give birth to that child, and that he will be the one to baptize the child. So with faith, I believed him. I collected the report from him and I went back home. When I was 7 months and 2 weeks, by then the baby has started kicking very well, so visible. But when I got to 7 months and 2 weeks, the baby stopped entirely, stopped kicking. I became worried. A day, 2 days, 3 days, the baby doesn't kick. Like after 2, 3 days, the baby will just move a little bit and stop. And it has never happened to me. I have never experienced that. So I decided to call my doctor, the one that normally delivers my baby, the one that stays in Enugu. I called him and told him what is going on. So he asked me to come back to Enugu. I went to Enugu and I went straight to the hospital. The doctor sent me for an ultrasound. And I went, brought back the results. He checked and he told me that the baby is okay. The baby is alive. The baby is healthy. When we are talking about this time, I was already on the 8th month on the dot. So the doctor told me that we are going to wait for 2 weeks so that you'll be able to operate, okay, and bring out the baby. The following day, making it 8 months and a day, I wasn't comfortable. I called my husband and I told him that the baby is still not moving. My husband asked me to wait. So I waited. The next day, I couldn't wait any longer. I called the doctor and I started crying. I told him that I'm not sure that this baby is alive. The baby is still not moving and that my tummy is so heavy. So the doctor asked me to start coming to hospital. I packed my things together with my sister. We went to the hospital. The doctor decided to send me for another ultrasound. And the ultrasound read that the baby is still alive, but that in no distant time, I might lose the child. So the doctor decided to, and asked me if I have eaten for that day. And I said no, that I haven't taken anything. He said it will be better to carry out a CS immediately. The CS was carried out and my baby was brought out. So according to my sister told me that when the baby was brought out, she was okay. Nothing was happening to her. She was fully okay. But 1 hour, 2 hours later, the baby started jerking, started shaking. So the doctor instructed them to go and put the baby in an incubator. So they took my child to put her into the incubator, and the light went off. The electricity went off. There was no light at all. And they went to put on the generator to power the light. Generator spoiled immediately. There was no light. So the midwife, brought out another option of keeping the baby in a very small room. There was a very small room that they are going to keep the baby there and then boil water with a very large pot to heat up the room. That is kind of a local incubator. And that was what they did. They kept my baby there. They boiled the water. I didn't know what was happening because I was still sleeping at that time. So my sister said that in the middle of the night, it looked as if somebody came, tapped her on her leg and asked her to go and check the baby. So my sister got up. She said she got up around 12:01 in the night. She went into that room where the baby was sleeping, only for her to discover that the pot on fire, there was no water in that pot any longer. Rather, the water was poured on the bed where the baby was sleeping, but the water did not touch the baby. The circle where the baby laid down was dry, but the whole of the bed was wet. And there was no water in the pot, and the fire was still burning. And so my sister grabbed the baby and ran out and raised an alarm. And the nurses gathered. And they kept on searching. Who did this? Who entered the room? Who did this? And every nurse that was on duty at that time said that they were awake, that they weren't sleeping, and they didn't see anybody enter that room. So they couldn't tell what actually happened. So my sister brought out the baby, kept the baby beside me in my own room. So the nurses were telling her to bring back the child inside the room because the child needs that warmth temperature. My sister refused. She said that it is better for the baby to die beside the mother than to die in that room where there is nobody there to stay with the baby. So she kept my baby beside me. But my baby didn't die. My baby is alive. And now she is the grown-up. A child that was said that I wasn't pregnant with, that there was no baby in my womb. And finally, when I gave birth to the child, they tried to tamper with the life of the child. And God still saved my baby. So you can see the revelation that I got in the dream. That is either I will not be alive to have the baby, or that even if I give birth to the baby, I will not carry that baby. But God, being the ultimate, still defeated them. More stories are coming. All right. I'm going to tell you a lot more after these childbearing years. Okay. See you next time. Bye.